Hey there! So today I'm going to share a little bit of information about the history of medicine, and then I'll talk a little bit about different things that we consider here to be more self-sufficient with our personal healthcare needs. So let's dive right into the history of medicine. Medicine was once inspired by nature, spirituality, and culture. Traditional forms of medicine are often quite intricate in their approach and understanding to the person as a whole. For instance, Ayurvedic practitioners assess clients through a model of balance and imbalance by looking at a person's past and present constitution in relation to their mental, emotional, and physical states, as well as their environment. Those considerations are all then matched with specific treatments which are aimed at bringing more balance to the mind, emotions, and body as a whole system. Herbs may be used to address multiple systems within the body at once, or detoxification treatments might be recommended to clear out toxins that are impairing the natural processes of the body. The human mind-body system is an extremely sophisticated one. In most traditional forms of medicine, every recommendation is unique to the person and addresses a multitude of factors to bring the person back to a healthier state. While modern medicine certainly has its strong points, this is not something that you're going to see under the current insurance paradigm, where doctors are typically given around 8 minutes maximum to spend with their patients. For a long time, many of these forms of medicine have been seen as quackery or simply not having much merit. It's interesting though, because these forms of medicine were the primary approaches to health and healing for many centuries. I guess more recently, modern medicine has started to embrace some of these modalities again through a scientific lens, but it's important to understand how these methods fell out of popularity in the first place. Perhaps the most pivotal time in the history of US medicine is in the early 1900s. During this time, the era of research and pharmaceuticals that had been emerging from the 1800s merged with big business, and in the process, natural and traditional forms of medicine were systemically removed from medical schools, ushering in the allopathic medical paradigm. The Rockefeller Institute and the Carnegie Foundation held instrumental roles in shaping the new paradigm of medicine. John D. Rockefeller had accumulated immense wealth through the oil industry and had also become interested in medical research and the role of petrochemicals in medicine and development of pharmaceuticals. Andrew Carnegie, on the other hand, had accumulated his wealth through the steel industry and become interested in education. While the Rockefeller Foundation offered to generously fund schools who would be willing to teach allopathic medicine, as well as usher out other forms of medicine, the Carnegie Foundation made their influence through the American Medical Association directly. The AMA worked with the Carnegie Foundation, commissioning a man named Abraham Flexner to help with their reformation goals of the medical standards and medical education. In 1910, the highly influential Flexner Report was produced, which generated ratings for each of the 162 medical schools based on specific standards which favored allopathic pharmaceutical practices and cast out schools which taught natural forms of medicine. Now, this is a very oversimplified version of what happened with the Flexner Report and the history, the evolution of medicine. But I highly recommend you research it further. It's a very interesting topic and gives you a context for just the state of our modern medical system today that you might not otherwise think about. You know, this is something that I learned about extensively through my degree programs in alternative medicine, but I really didn't hear people talking about it commonly until after 2020. I think that when the pandemic hit, a lot of people started doing more research on their own about ways to be prepared if they were to become ill. And in the process, they started researching the history of medicine and learned some of the facts around how medicine got to the state that it is today. All of that brings us to our next topic, which is self-sufficiency in healthcare. This has two main aspects: prevention and preparedness. When it comes to prevention, there are countless things you can do, and ultimately everyone's preventative priorities will be different and based on their unique individual needs. but for the sake of this video, I'll break them down into 5 main categories: movement and breath, the nervous system, diet and nutrition, a sense of purpose and connection, and time in nature. Movement and breath are incredibly important considering the sedentary lifestyles that so many of us live due to technology. On top of that, our world has become increasingly full of toxins, from our food to our air to our water, our clothing, and our building materials. The industrial chemicals can be very difficult for the body to clear out, so we all really need to maintain a good balance of rest and activity to support the full potential of our physiology. Movement and breath are perhaps 2 of the most potent forms of medicine that we can access for ourselves for free. The key here is to find something that you enjoy, and if you're one of those people who doesn't like to exercise or have lack of motivation, find a good companion who will go with you and turn it into an enjoyable social activity that still allows you to get moving. It's good for our body and detox processes, but it also helps fortify the nervous system, refreshing us mentally and emotionally. Which brings us to the next pillar of prevention, the nervous system. The role of the nervous system is often underestimated in conventional medicine. However, it plays an essential role in our total health and well-being. Trauma and stress can impact the nervous system in a moment, but carry the broader effects on the body for years, sometimes a lifetime. In some cases, the nervous system gets stuck in overdrive because of that, which can significantly impact your immune system, digestive system, and other aspects of your health and well-being. There's a huge range of tools out there that can help balance the nervous system, moving you into a place of being fully present and responding to situations rather than living in a state of reactivity. There are forms of meditation that can help calm the mind and nervous system. There are programs out there like DNRS and limbic retraining, as well as practices like Qigong and yoga, which can help integrate a meditative state with movement. The key thing with these practices is consistency. If you happen to lack self-accountability, there are apps out there that can help with that. Herbs and diet can also influence the nervous system, so it's important to keep those things in mind, but having an actual practice allows you to tap into your own nervous system directly and transform it in a more sustainable way. Diet and nutrition is the next important pillar. By nutrition, I don't mean carbs and calories. I mean the quality of your food. Where do you source your food? How is it grown? How fresh is it? Food decreases in bioavailability over time, so a vegetable that was harvested today will not hold the same level of bionutrients days after the fact when you purchase it in the grocery store. On top of that, if the soil the plant was grown in lacked nutrients and biodiversity, the actual nutrients in the plant will be impacted. And if there were chemicals used in the growing process, you better bet you're ingesting some of those chemicals. Diet is one aspect of healthcare that can be extremely difficult for people. There's a lot of mental and emotional habits, patterns, and addictions that are wrapped up in our dietary processes. But if we can break those patterns, you become a much more healthier person, but you also become a much more free individual in terms of your mental and emotional health. The other important factor in preventative health is finding a sense of purpose and connection. This is something that I really wish we did a better job at teaching our children. I think a lot of parents might even think that they're teaching their children how to grow up to develop some sense of deeper purpose in life. But a lot of times, really, we're just giving them a map for what society views as a deeper sense of purpose, rather than helping the child tap into their innate, authentic sense of purpose and living from that place. Beyond the more superficial level of experiencing a sense of purpose in life through work or day-to-day ways that we live our lives, it's also extremely important to feel connected to something greater. And that can happen through a form of spirituality or religion, but really just anything that connects you to your heart in a deeper way. And that can be different for everybody. But that experience that allows you to go within and really open your heart and allow that experience of expansion from a deeper place within you can be extremely transformative and healing on its own. And for the fifth pillar, time in nature. This one really connects to the other four categories, but I wanted to give it an emphasis because it feels increasingly important in this day and age of ever-evolving technology that we remember our connection to nature. Spending time in nature has an amazing potential to balance the nervous system and connect you to your heart. If meditation is too much for you, then just get out into nature with no cars or cell phones or other distractions. When you really allow yourself to be present in nature and just observe it in all its beauty and magnificence, you can be deeply transformed every time. But you know, Hippocrates said it best when he said, before you heal someone, ask him if he's willing to give up the things that make him sick. The prerequisite for all of these requires willingness to transform, let go, challenge yourself, and continuously practice new levels of dedication and self-love. We all experience trauma and stress, but unfortunately aren't always given the adequate tools to fully move through these things in a healthy way. This, to me, is at the root of all else if you're trying to live preventatively. If you have something that is an action that you're living out in your life that's rooted in trauma or stress, then you're restricting your full potential in that process. So getting to the root of that and releasing whatever happened, finding the tools to really move through that in a healthy way, things will open up for you like you can't even imagine once you move that thing that's restricting you from living your full potential. For the preparedness part of this topic, there are a few things we like to be sure to always have around. The first is aloe and herbal and homeopathic creams for overexposure to sun. We do a lot of work outside, so this is a must for us to have around. The next is activated charcoal, bentonite clay, and enema kits. These are for general detox and can be used both preventatively and acutely. Homeopathic medicines for wounds and physical traumas, herbs and supplements for colds and flus. I'll probably talk more about this one in the future since we'll be growing some of these herbs here on our property. Tick removal kit and herbal treatments. We don't have an overwhelming issue with ticks here, but have enough around that we need to be cautious and have items available in the event that someone gets a bite. Lyme's disease can be extremely debilitating, so beyond having a preparedness kit, it's also good to have a doctor who really understands Lyme and its co-infections on a deeper level to help you navigate things if you are bitten or start to develop symptoms. Bulk dried herbs for topical use and internal use, like sleep aids, injuries, etc. Ear candles, eye wash cups, and neti pots with triphala ghee and nasya oil. Again, these are some items that can be used both preventatively and acutely. Triphala ghee or triphala water can be used to cleanse and rejuvenate the eyes. Nasya oil can be used with the neti pot to clear, lubricate, and soothe the nasal passageways. It's important to take care of the eyes and sinuses both preventatively and acutely, especially considering their intimate connection to the brain and nervous system. We also have a wide range of carrier oils and essential oils around the house. These can be used externally as well as internally. These oils can be used with many different ailments, from digestive issues to muscle injuries and so much more. Lastly, we of course have all of the basics. Lots of bandages, rubbing alcohol, peroxide, baking soda, etc. And we even have a little ibuprofen in case we ever need to reduce elevated inflammation in the body. One other item I didn't include on this list that has been extremely helpful to have on hand on many occasions is an infrared heating pad. I'll include links to some of these resources below. Now I do have to be careful here and say that this is not medical advice. I'm not a medical doctor. These are just things that we practice personally to be more preventative and prepared in our lives. And a lot of these things are resources that I have found through my educational studies and through work. But by any means, if you do have any health concerns, you should certainly seek out a medical doctor. And always be sure to have a doctor or a provider that is within your network that knows how to treat holistically. On that note, I'll leave a couple links below where you can find directories of doctors that do understand the holistic complexities involved with medicine, and they tend to see things beyond the mainstream modern medical paradigm. So that's about it. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you all have a wonderful holiday season ahead, and we'll see you in the new year.